Ah, here we go. Now the dots are coming on. I don't know what was the problem, but we have it now. Okay, dokie, guys, we're live. I am going to say hello, guys, out there. If there's any of you listening, nobody yet, but hopefully in a few minutes you will be. Probably because we didn't have, well, we got two people now. Probably because we were off last week due to technicals. How's your? How are you after getting smacked by the tree?
Fine.
He's fine. Okay. Mr. T got hit by a limb from a tree that fell on his
glancing
property.
blow, baby.
And my wife is still in the hospital. And in fact, I am just getting ready to head in there now. So I'm going to turn everything over to the guys, and I will see you in approximately an hour if the wife is still awake. At that point, we'll see you in a few, guys.
Okay. Oh, shit.
You can talk about whatever you want when I get back. You fill me in as to what we do.
Well, first of all, this I get shorter.
Oh, what? Oh,
Wait a minute.
what? What is going on there?
Right. Okay, I turn that.
There you go.
Get that out of here.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, we got here Jack's on, Emily's on, Tracy Bob is on. Okay. Well, I'm not alone. I have the bludgeoner with me tonight, as Mike used to say. Welcome to the first episode of Breveheart Radio since the election, and since we went off daylight saving time. So, 6:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, the election is still up in bouncing around there, I guess. But let's hit one article real quick. According to Tom Fighton, I believe, Judicial Watch president, he said that Trump won Tuesday's election according to federal election law. He said the expansion of mail voting made the election chaos entirely predictable. Extending vote count past election day, which is illegal. Now, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. European countries do not use mail-in voting because the risk of voter fraud is high, as we have seen so far in the last few days. Now, according to this guy, Mr. Fitton and Fighton, I guess, and an interview with Fox Business host Lou Dobbs, President Trump was ahead on election day and therefore should be declared a winner, which I'll go along with that. Fighton, who called testifying before Congress, that this vote by mail scheme was going to lead to chaos. Argued federal law required that states, quote, shall select their electors for president and vice president on Tuesday, election day, and it hasn't happened. No one's been in court to enforce law, he said. In this area, they had the Trump campaign arguing for a better seat to watch the three-card monthly game in which they have the mark here. Now, when this was written, they were still counting ballots in 6 states. But election day, he was ahead in several states that went blue for some reason.
He was ahead in all of them. He was ahead in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I don't know about Nevada. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I can't remember. Now, Mr. Fighton goes on to say the courts don't fix the problem, and the opportunity is for Congress to decide whether or not they're going to bless the process we're seeing in Pennsylvania, which is a slow motion overturning the federal election results. And Judge Alito, Supreme Court judge, basically has told Pennsylvania, every vote that was received after 8 p.m. on the 3rd or postmarked after 8 p.m. on the 3rd shall not be counted. They be separate. And I know the news media has said there's no evidence of voter fraud, yet there is quite a lot of evidence of voter fraud going out there. And people turn in videos. There's too much going on to say there wasn't voter fraud. And it's just ridiculous. It's there. It's been there. In fact, let me find the article from a Democrat. Ah, yes. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Oops. Hit the right button. All right. Okay. Why are you scrolling? Okay. Chicago. This is almost our World Net Daily. Chicago Democrat. Yes, the old party machine is stealing the election. And I'm not sure. I'm going to probably botch his name, but Rod Blagojevich said Friday, as a Democrat born in Chicago who served in Congress and as governor of Illinois, it's clear to him that the old Democratic machine in key battleground states is trying to steal the election from Donald Trump. If the question is, are the Democrats stealing votes in Philadelphia? He said in a Newsmax TV interview, my answer is the Pope Catholic. Blagojevich said that, quote, it's a time-honored tradition in democratically controlled cities like Chicago, my hometown, Philadelphia, to do precisely what they are doing. But he believes the corruption is much wider in the 2020 election. Coming out of Chicago, Democratic politics, my instincts are it's going on in Atlanta, it's going on in Detroit, it's going on in Milwaukee, it's going on in Las Vegas, he said. Now, skeptics of Blagojevich's view of the election will point to the fact that Trump commuted this man's 14-year prison sentence on corruption charges. Now, he contends he went to prison because he took on the infamous Chicago Democratic machine, and he said he'll be forever grateful to Trump for calling him, and he calls himself a Trumpocrat. He told Newsmax TV, borrowing from Superior Court Justice Potter Stewart's famous line about pornography, the election corruption is hard to define, but you know it when you see it. Coming out of Chicago, the Chicago political establishment, I know how they operate. They control polling places. They stop votes when their candidate's behind. Then in the wee hours of the morning, in the dark of night, the stealing starts. And we've seen unprecedented numbers in this election in Michigan, as well as in Philadelphia. It's outrageous, and the fact that they're doing it with impunity because it's outrageous, and the fact they are doing it with impunity that they are doing it with is because the media is looking the other way. They just want to beat Donald Trump at all costs, and they're not just stealing from Donald Trump, they're stealing from us, the American people, which is true. Blagojevich contended that he wanted the prisoner from taking on a Chicago machine, and, quote, they brought me to ruin. They destroy you when you take on a system and you don't want to play ball. Democrats have said this is a critical moment in our history. It is incredibly dangerous to our freedoms and our democracy. Trump is president. And the question is going to be, do you just take this line down and accept it and allow corrupt politicians to dictate to the people who the leadership will be? Or the people peacefully rise up, I'm not sure peacefully, but rise up and protest, organize, and get active and back the president because his cause is much larger than him. This cause goes to we the people and our right to choose our own leaders in fair elections and in free elections. The famous Chicago machine mayor Richard J. Daley, in fact, when he was mayor, he used to say, vote daily, you vote often, was a famous line. And when he was accused of stopping the vote count in Cook County in 1960 to wait until results downstate indicated how many votes he needed to stuff the box to secure victory for John F. Kennedy in 1960 presidential election. While historians to argue about what has really happened, there's no doubt Daley had a reputation for delivering votes through unscrupulous means, and it continues to this day. In 2008, Blagojevich was arrested for conspiring to commit several pay-to-play schemes, including attempting to obtain personal gain the corrupt use of his authority to fill the U.S. Senate seat vacated by none other than that lying Kenyan Barack Obama. After Trump commuted his sentence on February 18, 2020, Blagojevich spoke to reporters, I'm profoundly grateful to President Trump, and I will be for as long as I live. And he said the president was a man who's not only tough and outspoken, but he's strong and he has a kind heart. So I think right there, from a person who's had experience in the Democratic side of the House about Democratic corruption, pretty sure that what we're seeing, and no doubt in my retired military mind, that we've been had by the Democratic Party. They have really taken the election and stolen it. And it needs to be, I don't care if we go back and re-vote. We're going to do it on one day, no mail-in ballots. You show up, you vote, and that's it. Now, there are a few things that come to pass since the election. Of course, Biden has been declared by the media as president-elect. Of course, that's not official until all the votes are recounted and certified, which I believe has to happen by December the 8th. But the Democrats have already talked about things that they want to do. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, occasional brain Cortez, anyway. She calls for an archive of Trump psychopaths for complicity in the future. This should come at absolutely no surprise to anyone with at least one eye, 1 ear, and a halfway functioning brain. But a far left progressive Rep. Cortez, Democrat of New York, has revealed her authoritarian nature on Friday, this past Friday, by posing a question of whether anyone on the left is archiving those President Trump supporters or psychopaths for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future. And this ties into another article I will cover up. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Why is it doing this? I'm having interference for some reason. Wait a minute. I just lost the article. There we go. I don't know why it won't let me scroll down the article. That's right. There we go. Anyway, first of all, what does complicity in the future even mean? And when she says foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos, she doesn't indicate how that would occur. Would the authoritarian left, including those in charge at Twitter and Facebook, be the arbiters of what and who gets erased? Does this mean that the left's tactics of cancel culture would become more prevalent and the big tech's modus operandi going forward? Or is she intimating that Trump's psychopaths will delete their own social media posts? Whatever the case might be, a former Obama administration, which is a good way, but a former Obama administration now has confirmed that they have already established a website which kept track of anyone associated with the Trump administration. Mike Simon, a Twitter blue checkmark that claims to have been an analyst for the Obama administration, shared a website, TrumpAccountability.net. And it basically says that every administration staffer, campaign staffer, bundler, lawyer, represented them, and everyone else is going to be on this list. The website, which houses a Trump Accountability Project, claims to welcome Trump supporters, but slams the Trump administration for pretty much every talking point that the left has ever used against Trump over the past 4 years. We should welcome in our fellow Americans with whom we differ politically. Tens of millions of Americans voted for Donald Trump. They're entitled to have their votes counted and have their opinions heard. We may disagree, but we will listen to them. But the world's going to forget those who, when faced with a decision, chose to put their money, their time, and their reputation behind separating children from their families, Barack Obama did that. Encouraging racism, Obama did that. Anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, Obama did that too. And the negligent cause an unnecessary loss of life and economic devastation from our country's failed response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Correction, the governors told Trump that the governors would take care of their own states and for Trump not to intervene. So the states that have suffered worst all have Democratic governors. So there's another lie right there. Okay, so everything I just mentioned is all the Democrats' fault. The website has multiple lists who they're keeping track of, which seemingly does not consist of any garden variety everyday Trump supporter. The list includes anyone affiliated with the Trump administration in both 2016 and 2020, among others. Now, individuals who supported Trump but publicly denounced the Trump campaign and or administration prior to Election Day 2020, a Trump Accountability Project document read, they will not be included because they denounced the evil administration of Trump. But anybody else who supported him over the last 4 years is going to have, or I should say, be on the list. Now, what does that remind people of? Anybody? Historical nature? What happened in late 1917 and the 1920s? There's the Russian Revolution and the Russian Civil War. The Russians, the Czechists, made a point to eliminate all those that favor the Russian communist government. Anybody found undesirable, they got rid of, they executed. And
I think in today's day and age, the outright execution of your political opposite is less than likely to happen. I think now it's more likely that they'll be ostracized or deplatformed. They won't be able to. They're going to put us on a list to hold us accountable, as if we're going to have their own theoretical version of like the Nuremberg trials. Everybody that supported Trump in the last 4 years is no better than a Nazi, and they're going to categorize and list us all and keep track of us and hold us accountable. And Mr. T saying that perhaps maybe he's comparing it to the Russian Revolution, where the Bolshevists and the communists listed off all their political enemies or counter-revolutionaries and just outright shot. And in today's world, I don't think you would see that even with the most radical of the Democrats out there.
Well, I'm not going to put it past them. But anyway, this ties into our article from the Chicago, published in the Chicago Tribune. Column, Truth and Reconciliation Commissions. Why not just make ready the guillotine? Now, just as Democratic Party elites and big tech try to stamp out the Hunter Biden email story, come another angry demand: Truth and Reconciliation Commissions. Chew on this chilling, delicious irony as Joe Biden tells us he wants to heal the nation, while pundits on the left backing Biden seek tribunals. There is nothing like punishing your opponent in the name of national healing. When this nightmare is over, we need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, tweeted Robert Reich, a progressive former Labor Department Secretary to the former Bill Clinton and advisor to Barack Obama. It would erase Trump's lies, comfort those who have been harmed by his hatefulness, and name every official, politician, executive, and media mogul whose greed and cowardice enabled this catastrophe, meaning the Trump administration. Now, this follows another call for a truth commission delivered by MSNBC's host the lefty Chris Hayes. Quote, the most humane and reasonable way to deal with all these people, if we survive this, is some kind of Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And after the public show trials, are we guilty? Humanly offered blindfolds and a last cigarette. A cafe Americano might be nice, okay? Among Republicans, the outrage hot take on all this is to bring up George Orwell's 1984. It is Orwellian, but Orwell's 1984 was a soulless world ruled by dispassionate intellects. And we had a lot of those. The terror was numbing, methodical. These Reich Hayes truth commissions are tinged instead with the angry passion of zealots seeking revenge. To try the French, no, not the France of today, but of the French Revolution of tribunals and trials and the reign of terror, the France of the Jacobins. Anyway. Now, I could go on and read all this stuff on here. But there are folks calling for Trump supporters to be harshly treated. Now, what's that mean? It's going to be hard to say. And one cynic kind of said, well, yeah, I might as well bring back the guillotines and start chopping off the heads of Trump supporters. I don't think they're going to do that, at least not yet. I'm going to guess every single person they can find who supported Trump in some manner, shape, or form is going to be ostracized. They could have their rights restricted in some manner, shape, or form. They may have to do all kinds of things that the normal Biden supporter would not have to do under a Biden administration. I don't know. It just seems
I think
history in a way might repeat itself.
Yeah. Well, to go off of that last statement, I think you're exactly right there. I mean, if there's any way to look towards the future and what could possibly happen, you have to draw on what's happening right now with what they're saying and the mindset of the political left and what they're saying. When you read all these articles and you hear about them taking down names, listing off anybody who's supported Donald Trump in the last 4 years, and the things that they're saying and their actions. Biden goes on national television, tells everybody that we're about healing and moving forward, and then you have Orwellian instances where people talk about we're going to have committees of truth and reconciliation, and it's right there. I mean, they expose their own intentions and their own mindset when they make statements and actions like that. It's not about moving forward at that point. We're seeking to punish the political opposite and go after him for the last 4 years. Like Mr. T said, it's about revenge. Now, going back to the Russian Revolution remark with just outright shooting people, I don't think we'd see that. Maybe not immediately. I'm starting to have second thoughts about that. But I think you have to look to the past and the way that things happened in other countries around the world and how people responded to conditions like these. And any time that I think about it, and with this particular instance, I'm thinking back to Nazi Germany when the leftists took over in that country. They immediately came out and they ostracized people. They didn't immediately legislate against them. They didn't just start dragging them out into the streets and shooting them. But all of a sudden you couldn't shop in that person's shop because they were a right winger or a communist or a Semite or this, that, or the other thing. You ostracized them, vandalized their property, treated them poorly, and then it escalated. They started legislating against them. Once they were solidly in power, I guess they did end up going after them and outright killing them, sending them to concentration camps. Will that happen here? Only Lord knows what the future holds, but you have to look at the past and predict what's going to happen in the future. And is that possible? I think exactly in that order, where it starts out slow. It starts with these committees of reconciliation and truth, and then it just grows from there.
I'd say it depends on how radical Congress is going to get to back anything like this. The Senate race, I think, is still up in the air. I think Georgia's got 2 Republican senators that are kind of neck and neck with their Democratic opponents. And we need those 2 to win to have a 52 to 48 majority in the Republican side of the House. And if we have the Senate, then the Senate Republicans should be able to block anything the Democrats try to do, but who knows? One thing I know about Biden is that he's coming after our guns, and he's made no bones about it. Sorry. No pun intended.
Biden's been pretty blunt about his plan on gun control.
But I did get this article here. The 9 things Biden will ban in his first 100 days. First thing, the first thing on the list is Biden wants to ban the AR-15 and add them to the NFA, the National Firearms Act. Joe Biden has taken on the NRA, National Rifle Association, on the national stage and won twice. In 1993, he shepherded through Congress the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, which established I call it the infamous background check system. It has kept more than 3 million firearms out of dangerous hands. And in 1994, Biden, along with Senator Dianne Feinstein, who's still around, secured the passage of a 10-year ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. As president, Joe Biden will defeat the NRA again. Now, assault weapons. Unfortunately, the left wants to define assault weapon in very different ways than what's actually the truth. The average American cannot buy an assault weapon in the United States. Okay? An assault weapon is one that can fire full automatic fire or 3-round bursts. And like the M16 A2 or A1, fire. And the AR-15 is not like that. And to get a Class 3 firearms license, you have to do an extensive background check. It takes a while. And pay over some bucks, which most people are not going to do because you can't afford it. The assault weapons ban is malarkey as far as it's a bunch of crap. Getting on with point number 1 here, Joe Biden also knows how to make progress on reducing gun violence using executive action. After the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012, or the supposed tragedy anyway, President Obama asked Vice President Biden with developing both legislative proposal and executive action to make our community safer. Now, the ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines that Biden, along with Senator Feinstein, secured in 1994, reduced the lethality of mass shootings, but in order to secure the passage of the bans, they had to agree to a 10-year sunset provision. When the time came, the Bush administration failed to extend them. Thank goodness. Currently, the National Firearms Act requires individuals possessing machine guns, silencers, and short-barrel rifles to undergo a background check and register their weapons with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Due to the requirements, such weapons are rarely used in crimes. Imagine that. As President, Biden will pursue legislation to regulate possession of existing assault weapons under the National Firearms Act. Now that means, next sentence, that means that tens of millions of AR-15 owners in America will instantly become felons until they go through a 6 to 12 month background check with the ATF and pay a $200 tax.
It's an annual tax too, isn't it? It's not a one-time.
From what I saw, Biden proposal, it's an annual tax.
I think it's an annual tax per rifle, and then under the same regulations per high-capacity magazine. Now that also means under the NFA, per NFA regulations, you have to have that rifle registered, but you have to have it with an NFA serial number, which means that you have to pay somebody an additional fee to serialize that weapon, which you have to register. So not only are you paying a $200 annual fee, but you do have to pay an additional one-time engraving fee to have new numbers put on your item. Now that includes your rifle and every high-capacity magazine. I myself own 20 to 30 round magazines. That's $200 a piece, plus whatever, I mean, I'm assuming 25 to 50 some dollars per item just to have one thing engraved. Now that's talking fat stacks of cash. Your average Joe working young man ain't going to be able to afford that.
No. On the subject of AR-15 here, we're going to point number 2. I won't say where I was on Saturday. But this man, I'm going to guess he's in his upper 30s. Talked to a clerk. I'm here to buy an AR-15, but I know nothing about him. The man pulled an AR-15 off the shelf, collapsible buttstock, and gave the man a weapon and have a look at it. Said, okay, how does this thing work? So the clerk had explained to him how everything worked on it. How to pull the bolt back, to load the weapon with a magazine, go the magazine up, the safety switch, fire safe, and then you'll get a book how to disassemble the weapon because you need to clean it, and well, how many magazines should I get with this weapon? He said, clerk goes, a lot.
A lot.
Now, I completed my business and left, so I don't know if you actually bought the AR-15 or not. And if you did, how many magazines you might have walked out the store with him, and how many rounds of ammunition. Kind of late in the game to come buy one, but at least, maybe no one was bought and it's out the door someplace. But let's go to point number 2, shall we? The second thing Biden wants to do is to ban the infamous AK-47 and add them to the NSA. Biden will ban the manufacture and sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Federal law prevents hunters from hunting migratory game birds with more than 3 shells in their shotgun. That's why I don't hunt them. That means our federal law does more to protect ducks than children. It's wrong. Joe Biden will enact legislation to once again ban assault weapons. Okay. This time the ban will be designated based on lessons learned from 1994 bans. For example, the ban on assault weapons will be designed to prevent manufacturers from circumventing the law by making minor changes that doesn't limit the weapon's lethality. When you fire a bullet, how do you make it less lethal? Unless it's rubber, maybe. I don't know.
Just because my Mini 14 has a wooden stock, no flash hider, and has 20 round mags, doesn't mean it's any less lethal than my AR. It has 30 round mags, a flash hider, and a collapsible buttstock, and heaven forbid a bayonet lug. Oh God, the most dangerous features.
And while working to pass this legislation, Biden will also use executive authority to ban the importation of assault weapons. So we'll get a redefinition of what an assault weapon is, as opposed to what it really is. This means that the millions of AK-47s in America will instantly become felons until they go through, again, a 6 to 12 month background check with the ATF and pay a $200 tax. And of course, I didn't say what the end of the first item. Now, the second item, the first one said order AK-15 now. This one here said order AK-47 or pistol now. Click here. Okay. The third thing Biden wants to do this first 100 days is to ban the online sale of that nasty ammunition that makes AR-15s and AK-47s lethal. Biden will act legislation to prohibit all online sales of firearms, ammunition, and kits, as well as gun parts. So there's a link. Stockpile ammunition now here. Number 4, Biden wants to use the ATF to ban arm braces and redefine some pistols as AOW, which other, I'm trying to think, I saw What that means? Oh, AOW, any other weapon. I think the ATF has already processed doing that anyway, with braces and what used to be legal as short rifles as pistols. And I don't know. Anyway,
I know there's an ongoing legal battle right now between consortiums, private citizens, and
the ATF.
The ATF. They've been going after pistol braces for a while now, but they refuse to define in terminology what the definition of a pistol brace really is.
This kind of says it, and it says there are over 3 million arm braces on pistols in America. If this happens, those gun owners will become felons and forced to disassemble their guns until they complete a 6 to 12 month background check with the ATF and pay a $500 tax to convert a pistol to an AOW, any other weapon, or a short barrel rifle. And then the link says, "We're more arm braces here." The fifth thing Biden wants to do, his first 100 days, is to ban high-capacity magazines. Federal law prevents hunters from hunting migratory game birds with more than 3 shells of shotgun. Okay. I know I say this already, but this means our federal law does more to protect ducks than children. It's wrong. Joe Biden will enact legislation to once again ban assault weapons, or something they call assault weapons. So this is just a repeat. I read earlier about, based on lessons 1994 ban, so on and so forth. Prevent manufacturers from circulating the law by making minor changes, so on and so forth. They don't limit weapons lethality, which again, you shoot a bullet, it could be very lethal. Anyway, and again, mentions that Biden will use executive authority to ban importation of assault weapons. Biden, number 6 here, wants to ban the drum magazines. So you have, and again, feel all about shotguns. Basically, number 6 is repeat number 5. This changed high capacity magazine to drum magazines. Went to ban them too. And okay, number 7. Biden wants to ban binary triggers. If you look at California, you'll see that what Biden-Harris will do, the gun rights has already taken place in California, as binary triggers are illegal. Most likely push to take that binary trigger ban actually as far as the assault weapons ban. Number 8, Biden wants to ban so-called ghost guns, aka 80% receivers. According to Biden, one way people who cannot legally obtain a gun may gain access to a weapon is by assembling one of their own, either by buying a kit or disassemble gun parts or 3D printing in a working firearm. Probably highly unlikely. Biden will stop the prohibition of these called ghost guns by passing legislation requiring that purchaser of gun kits or 3D printing code pass a federal background check, which could take a while. Additionally, Biden will ensure that authority for firearms export stays with the State Department. If needed, will reverse a proposed rule by President Trump. And let's see, this will ensure the State Department continues to block the code used to 3D print firearms from becoming available on the internet. Note here, current time on 80% lowers is over 90 days. You want to wait, order them here. Buy for customer. And lastly, number 9, the 9th thing Biden wants to do in the first 100 days is to ban the online sales of gun parts. So he will enact legislation to prohibit online sales of firearms, ammunition, kits, and gun parts. Welcome to communist America if Biden is actually sworn in as president of the United States. Let's just see what the chat room is chatting about here. Somebody else lost their guns in a kayaking incident. Oh, too bad. Mine wanted to go canoeing, and the canoe flipped, and they all drowned. Somewhere in the mud. Let's see. AK-16. I think Biden was talking about. I think about AR-14. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, there's gonna be too much tax for the guy to buy anything. Yeah, and Biden is not officially elected until the count is redone. So let's see. Yeah, what else can I hit here right away? Oops. Yeah, we need that one, right? Oh, let me get this once I just. On a slightly lighter note, have you heard Governor Newsom of California's Thanksgiving Day gathering guidelines? Okay. If you haven't, let me share them with you. According to Governor Newsom of California, if you're going to partake in Thanksgiving celebrations this year, no more than 3 households, including your own, may gather in one location. The host of the gathering must collect all names and addresses of those attending. All such Thanksgiving gatherings must be held outside. If you need to use the bathroom, you can use the bathroom inside the house or inside the whatever, if the bathroom is frequently sanitized. You're allowed to gather in an open park, 3 households only, but no concurrent gatherings like with people you know in the same park. All seating must be socially distanced. So if you have 3 families, you're going to need a lot of tables and chairs. You're 6 foot social distance.
6 foot apart. Oh, man.
Might as well in a dining hall.
Gonna need boards to talk to each other.
Get the every down there. Food's almost ready.
Anyway, pass the taters.
Anyway,
oh man.
All food must be in single-serve disposable dishes. So your salad, your pasta, your main course, whatever. I guess make sure you have plenty of plasticware, styrofoam and stuff because you're gonna need them. Unless you are physically eating, the process, actually chewing your food, you must wear a mask at all times. You're right. Okay. Your gathering can only last for 2 hours maximum. Hopefully it hasn't been on my in-laws every day. And lastly, singing is discouraged. But if you must sing, you must wear a mask and sing below a standard speaking voice. Now, other one I saw was that there was also no loud shouting and talking going on. You must talk in a regular, normal speaking voice. So, anybody going Thanksgiving in California, I'd suggest you stay home. Don't go there. I'm so glad I live in California. Oh, I guess one here. Yeah, I got another one here. About Joe Biden and what our life and standard of living would be under Joe Biden and his presidency. Yeah, I heard. What's his name? John Kucinich, I believe, former governor of Ohio, Republican guy, told yesterday. I think it was on NPR. I happened to catch it. That Biden is really a moderate. Okay. Now, the author of this article says Joe Biden is no moderate. Joe Biden is Not a whole lot better than Harris. But anyway, Joe Biden is no moderate. He admitted as much at the final presidential debate when he said he would transition America away from oil, which will be pretty much an expensive proposition that will take years, if not decades. And he must not realize all that's made from the use of oil in the production of different things. And the statement goes on. The paragraph says, many do not realize how radical a statement that is. Since at least 1988, politicians and advocates have tried to sell the American people two very bad false ideas. The first, that our use of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas is bad for the planet. It's not. And second, that we have access to affordable substitutes for these energy sources. And no, we don't. Since the mid-2000s, these notions have been incorporated into K through 12 school systems and university curricula and adopted and propagated by virtually every public and private institution, including U.S. oil companies striving to be politically correct. How stupid and communistic is that? When Biden says that the U.S. will get rid of fossil fuels, many believe that this is both a worthy goal and an achievable one. Probably not in our lifetime, but anyway. And author said it's neither. Fossil fuels are inextricable from our lives. Nothing happens in our modern world without them. While it's possible to replace one fossil fuel, for example coal, with another, natural gas, nothing can replace fossil fuels themselves as an energy source. You may support wind turbines and solar panels, but they cannot be manufactured or installed without massive quantities of, guess what? Fossil fuels. And wind and solar, as intermittent energy sources, must be backed up by fossil fuels, or fossil fuels are, when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine. Pennsylvania's a good example.
What they say, it takes 32 tons of coal to make a wind turbine on average.
Yeah, it's
and they're only good for 10 years.
Something like that. Unless they get blown down by now.
Yeah, they get unbalanced, blow down, they wear out.
Yeah. Anyway, and look around where you live. How would your home be? How would your home be built without fossil fuels? How would the bricks, concrete, steel, lumber, windows, paint, the side materials could be produced and transported in an affordable way without fossil fuels? Or look inside your home. You see cars, TVs, computers, phones, kitchen product, furniture, clothing, and so on and all require plastic. Yes. If we phase out oil, how we make plastic and other products with synthetic materials? What would replace it? Wood, metal, or glass?
I think the worst ones that people don't even take into account are electronics. Your computer, your radio, your coffee maker, all of these different modern appliances that you have, the rare earth metals and the heavy metals in there are actually more dangerous and more toxic to the environment than natural gas, coal, and
there was a meme going around trying to do with the electric cars.
And what they're big environmentally friendly lithium batteries.
And what it has to do to get the lithium for the batteries of those cars. The mining has to be done, and how dangerous it is, especially for the workers, to get the lithium so that the average environmentalist who wants an electric car can have one. And with an electric car, how far can you go? How many hours? How many miles? And how do you recharge it? You got to plug it in. Who makes electricity? Atomic? Coal-fired plants? Turbine-fired plants? I mean, just... yeah, anyway.
Burn coal to turn the turbines, make the electricity, or heaven forbid you have a nuclear power generator.
Anyway, it takes fossil fuels to make them too. Anyway, I just mentioned about the cars and the plastic and everything else.
We had to melt down the steel and
Yeah.
Forge it into something, machine it into something.
Now, ever been to a hospital and knows all the plastic equipment and single-use supplies? Yes, some of that's. I've been to hospitals. Some of that stuff is single-use only, and when a patient uses it, it's tossed. Maybe a restaurant can replace plastic straws with paper ones, but a paper IV tube is just not going to cut it. You like eating? Fossil fuels are the reason why we can feed the 7.8 billion people on our planet. Growing, harvesting, transporting, storing, and refrigerating food all require fossil fuels. Even organic farming depends on fossil fuels. In fact, organic farming requires even more fossil fuels than conventional farming. How would you enjoy French or California wine without fossil fuels unless you lived in France or California? Or winter grapes from Chile? How about seafood? Boats out there are going to run on probably diesel, steam turbines, but where do you get the steam from? Anyway. Needs heat. There is no such thing as an electric fishing boat. And even if it was, it requires fossil fuels to build it and charge it. So if you're all out fishing with your electric boat, make sure you probably need some oars. Maybe a sail to get back.
I'm fishing on your electric boat.
Find a place maybe just stop everything, and then hopefully you enough charge to get back, and hopefully the wind and the tide is not against you, that you run out of power before you get to shore, and you drift helplessly. And I hope the Coast Guard has their electric charge vehicle or their boat ready to go to save your ass.
It to you.
Tell you back to the shore or whatever. Anyway. Now, need to fly for business or pleasure? There are no battery-powered 747s yet, and there never will be. Solar-powered 747. Anyway. The only way that airlines can reduce emission is to fly less. Okay? Or maybe run on fewer engines, but that could be risky too. Now imagine a man running for president who announces that he wants to do away with these indispensable sources of energy. We already know one. He offers no hints on how he would be able to do this or what he would replace them with. But he wants to make that transition regardless of its practicality. That's Joe Biden, who supposedly is the president-elect, according to the media. If Biden is elected president, which he hasn't officially been yet, and hopefully will never be, will you seriously try to get rid of fossil fuels, or you saying just such things to appeal to greenhouse-minded Democratic voters? Do you really want to take a chance to find out these answers? I didn't. That's why I didn't vote for him. But either too many people actually did, or enough votes for or counterfeited to make it look like enough people voted for him. Oh, I think counterfeited? Oh, I'm sorry.
They didn't fraud the election, Mr. T. That was free and fair. They just found 137,000 ballots in the middle of the night after they stopped counting ballots at, what was that, 3:30 to 4:30? They just found them.
Yeah. Hey, guess what we found?
Oh, we misplaced all these. Wow.
Now, I mentioned a guy I saw yesterday buying, I'm really surprised at buying an AR-15. And a week before the election, I was in a gun store. I won't say where. And there were people looking at buying AR-15s. Imagine that. He one guy was considering an AR-10. And this leads into this article. Gun sales surge ahead of Election Day, according to FBI background checks. Wow. Surprise, yes. And it shows a picture here. It says the worker inspects an AR-15 gun at Davidson Defense in Orem, Utah on March 20. Okay. Gun stores in the U.S. reporting a huge surge in sales of firearms as coronavirus fears trigger personal safety concerns. Now, that's just... and Americans continue to load up on guns at a frenetic pace leading up to Election Day, according to background check from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In October, which is, of course, last full month before the election, the FBI conducted more than 3.3 million background checks in October, one of the strongest months in a pandemic year that has already broken records. Background checks in October increased 14% from the 2.8 million that were done in the month of September, and are up 38% compared to a year ago, October, that was 2.39 million. October of 2019. Americans have been buying guns for self-protection at an accelerated rate since March, as the coronavirus pandemic tightened its grip, cratering the economy and putting tens of millions of people out of work. COVID-19 has killed supposedly killed more than 231,000 Americans. That's only if the count is accurate, which I don't think it is. And affected more than 9 million, if the tests were actually correct. And probably no end in sight, and now the infection rate is getting worse as winter's coming. That's because just like the Spanish flu of 1918, 1920 time frame, Spanish flu came back with a vengeance in the fall. So historically, we're on track for that one. Though it attacked a different set of people the second go around. Okay, gun sales are getting fueled by first-time buyers. I think I saw one yesterday. Nearly 7 million people bought firearms for the first time this year, according to gun industry group called the National Shooting Sports Foundation. As for why they're virtually venturing into gun shops, retailers say the customers cite the volatile political rhetoric, civil unrest, police brutality, Black Lives Matter, and an economy flattened by COVID-19. Gun buyers are also worried about the risk of increased gun control if Democrats win the White House. And it hasn't happened yet. New buyers include growing numbers of women, senior citizens, Black Americans, according to incidental observations from firearms dealers. Okay, the most popular guns are the compact semi-automatic pistols that are user-friendly and easy to conceal. This includes the famous Glock, as well as handguns from other manufacturers such as M&P, 9mm Shield, Smith & Wesson, and the LCP line of handguns from Storm Ruger. Compact pistols included those by Taurus, 6R, and Springfield Armory. And of course, they sell the Hellcat series, which is the highest capacity micro compact 9mm in the world, with a capacity of 14 rounds. Okay. And let's see here. Storm Ruger reported that revenues rose 53% in the quarter ending September 26 compared to a year ago. Midwestern reported that revenue more than doubled during the quarter ending July 31st compared to a year ago in that quarter. And let's see. While gun makers are celebrating the surge in sales, advocates for gun control see troublesome signs in stockpiling in America. Gee, I wonder why. Quote, these numbers confirm the need for aggressive action from policymakers to protect our background check system, which are under unprecedented strain, said Robert Wilcox, Deputy Director of Policy and Strategy at Evertown for Gun Safety, which is an anti-gun group, sponsored by, I can't think of the mayor's name from New York, this guy. Excuse me. Anyway, the fear of civil unrest isn't just driving up sales, it's also prompted retail giant Walmart to pull ammunition off the shelves in the store in the back room. Now, that has changed. After a few days, Walmart said, we made a mistake. And I've been to a couple of different Walmarts, and guns and ammo are back on the shelves, but not a whole lot of guns and ammo. We want to say that Walmart taking the same precautions after the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis back in April. I don't remember any Walmart here in Pennsylvania that I was at that pulled guns and ammo off the shelves. But anyway, the election results will have an enormous impact on the future of the gun industry. President Trump is endorsed by the National Rifle Association and has no plans for gun control. But the Democratic contenders to the White House for Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris from California have an aggressive gun control policy. And just to kind of review here, it says it's like they plan to expand background checks, ban the manufacture of assault weapons and high capacity magazine, and impose further restrictions on weapons already in ownership. The Biden-Harris plan would require owners of assault rifles, including tactical style automatic rifles like AR-15s, to register them under the National Firearms Act, which applies to full auto machine guns and silencers. The NFA registration requires a $200 tax and lengthens the background check period from a few minutes to months and months and months. They had it 6 to 12 months maybe. Of course, President Trump vowed to safeguard our right on guns, while Biden and Harris have embraced the outright confiscation of lawfully owned firearms as a headliner of the most far-reaching gun control agenda to be presented to the American voter. And for those gun owners who didn't register their assault weapons with the NFA, the Biden-Harris plan includes a nationwide buyback program. You can't buy back what you didn't already own. We're going to do one like the Australian government did back in the 1990s after some mass shootings there. The buyback program would pose logistical challenges given the large number of gun owners in the USA. While gun manufacturers support Trump, they might experience stronger sales at short-term gain. Now, I'm sorry, I should have read the whole thing. While gun manufacturers support Trump, they might experience stronger sales, at least in the short term, if Democrats are elected to the White House. Which may be why the guy I saw yesterday was buying an AR-15 for the first time. People have said, I might have to do something because if the Democrats get elected, I might be in deep kimchi. And the article goes on to say if Biden-Harris wins, the firearm industry could display even more significant spikes in demand over the next few months after the election, as consumers likely stockpile certain types of firearms they feel will soon be banned. And the gun industry now is Rommel. Dianzio is an investor with Storm Troop. Okay. But the pendulum can swing both ways. After Trump was elected 4 years ago, gun sales dropped off significantly because the fear of gun control had gone away. So, if you think Biden might actually get elected formally, want to buy guns and ammunition now while you still can. And it's break time and the big guy is back, and I don't mean Joe Biden. So, we will take a few short minutes pause while we reorient the big guy to where we've been. Back a little bit.
You gotta unplug your top one. Never mind. I'm good because it's new box.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll show you that.
I'll probably do something.
Yeah.
Short is just enough. Oh, here. We haven't touched anything you put it. You modify my top right. See what? I went from like 10 minutes to 7 to 4 after 7.
Yeah, this very top one right here. On this side.
That one. Okay.
Okay, we're going back. Turn your mix on.
Maybe back.
Okay, kids, I will tell you, I was into the hospital to see Ma. She's not doing well. She has a day in which she's lucid and up and around. The next day, she can't get out of bed, can't eat, can't drink, can't smoke a cigar. I mean, can't do anything. So, Emily wants to know why you were fighting with the tree limb. That's because the bear chased them into it.
Okay, Emmy, this is what happened. We had a very strong gust of wind, and a local internet reporting system, weather system, it's reported a 50-mile-an-hour gust, but at the same time, part of the ash tree, and the ash tree that's I think it's 5 trunks, a main trunk, and then 5 trunks from that. It's I think finally died this past year due to the ash borer. Anyway, this huge section, I'm guessing 55, 60 foot, blew off. I mean, just came across and was long enough to reach across my township road. Took out the fence, and somebody was stupid enough. On my road, it's 25 miles an hour. When you go past my driveway heading south, the road dips. And if you're going too fast and you don't see something in time, you might not be able to stop. And of course, you'd say, well, why would you be going fast? Because if you go fast past my house and dip, you can go airborne. Whee!
Airborne?
Yeah, anyway.
Airborne.
So, got alerted to the fact that something was wrong. Okay, I got out my big chainsaw. Unfortunately, it worked. And started cutting the par tree up that went from just inside the fence across the road. And fortunately, the vegetation on the outside of the fence, on the inside of it, there's a lot of springy stuff. And then I was cutting one branch, and it sprung. When it let loose, it came off the main trunk, it fell, but the vegetation underneath it sprung it right up. Hit his little side of the head. I saw it coming and tried to get out of the way, but not quite fast enough. Just the way I was positioned, could not get out of the way. So, it hurt. With no concussion, these stars right now. Just like, whoa, boy. And my wife would be a good idea to. 103 finish the tree and then go, sit down and relax for a while, because she kept my pupils off and on. Okay, everything was fine. No, but just, okay, just take life easy for a while, Well, of course, no tree comes down, which fortunately none did. So I decide to enjoy Sunday being off, as it were. Just, that's what happened on Sunday. Last Sunday. This Sunday, of course, was nice and fine. Sunshine. Very warm.
Speaking of where people are, Scotty got called back in on the
I wonder where he was.
The Corona crash team up where he works. He just pretty high party people. I'm out of work and finally having a tasty beverage. So I don't know if you're listening, Scotty. I don't know if that means that the person that you were working with turned out to be a false positive or not. You can let us know. But that's the scoop of what's going on there as to why Scotty's not here.
Yeah.
But,
speaking of COVID-19, up until a few days ago this past week, I knew one person who came down with the dreaded disease. The second person I know tested positive. She's 93 years old, in a nursing home. At this point in time, we do not know if the test was actually a real positive or a false positive. We'll know probably for another few days. He's test again. But in the meantime, according to protocol, they put her down with the other patients that were tested positive for COVID-19. So if she didn't have it before, she might now have it. So if you test again, who knows? Excuse me. Hopefully, we're all praying that she does not have it at all, and she'll go back up with the roommate and be out of harm's way.
We had a fellow at work that supposedly had been exposed to coronavirus, which I think, in totally unrelated statements, I don't even know why I would bring it up, but he had just bought a brand new Matthews $1,100 compound bow, and all his buddies were out killing massive deer and bucks, and this was maybe a couple days before the start of the rut, and then he magically got a new bow and then somehow needed to quarantine for 2 weeks because he got exposed to it.
Oh, gee, what timing!
What timing?
Don't teach him for going out and buying a bow.
Oh, everybody's out killing all these deers. All his buddies killing all these deers.
Oh,
Got a brand new
I got
bow.
COVID-19 out of quarantine.
I got COVID, got a quarantine 2 weeks.
See you in 15 days.
Well, come on here, guys. It's trying to tell me, I can't seem to work this here.
Anyway, I was in.
You've gone and done it.
Yesterday, I was in a Walmart in Mercer County, Pennsylvania, and two things happened to me that hadn't happened to me yet during this so-called pandemic. I was shopping in there without a mask on, like some other people. Now I'm about 5'10". The old lady who probably didn't come up to my shoulder came around the corner, saw me, said, "Mask!" Looked at me and just kept on going. I'm thinking, okay. First time up. And I'm thinking, I'm walking around saying, okay, the other people with not masks on, the people have their masks down below their noses. Like, okay. So what good is that? And I find most everything I wanted. Got in checkout line. And the lady, and I assume her daughter ahead of me, had put there was one divider there between, okay, this person's items and this person, so I had to go get this, divider. And so I put my stuff down. And she turned to me and she goes, "Stand back! I have a compromised immune system." And I said, "So why are you here?"
Why aren't you out in the tree stand hunting deer, for crying out loud?
Well, I didn't say that. But she looked like, and then as she finished, and she started walking away, I said, maybe you better stay home with your immune system compromised. Again, I don't know if she heard me. She just did not look at me, but, she's like, if you're that fearful, stay home. And speaking of fearful, boy, I'll tell you what, in the last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, I don't know how many people I saw driving around, not just the parking lot, but on the highways.
Yep. They're getting
their mask on, getting ready for Joe Biden mask requirement.
Yeah, okay. That's it.
Interstate mask requirement. Okay. I mean,
the interstate mask requirement.
I mean, come on, people. I mean, and then I went to fill up my truck on Saturday. No, sorry, no. My other car on Saturday. I go to this gas station. It's a sheet store. It's outside, and you got the covered pump areas, and it's windy. I think I was one of two people pumping gas that did not have a mask on. Now look, it's sunshine, it's breezy, and you all have masks on. And there are people in some of these cars that are waiting and getting their tanks full. They had masks on too. What?
I've noticed that when I wear the mask, when I'm down visiting the wife, when I go to leave, my lips are starting to tingle.
Yeah, mine.
Not getting enough oxygen because it's being filtered or whatever. I'm rebreathing whatever I'm exhaling.
Right.
And they're still a little bit tingly right now. But
well, see, you can get an exemption because you have a medical reason. You cannot wear a mask and get away with it and just tell people, I can't breathe with one on.
I just assume give them a 308 reason, but, 30 caliber reason.
You want my response to 30 caliber or 45? 9 mil? 38.
30 caliber for longer distance, 45 if they get too close.
Well, if you're stored, you might, like that lady, You stand back!
You just have to use the proper artillery piece.
Let's see. A little more elevation.
But, I have a problem with breathing. I'm short breath anyway, and when I put that mask on, it makes it even worse.
Harder yet.
Yeah. So, but if the store has a sign on it like Home Depot does, I will wear the mask because they ask for that in the store. But in the parking lot, as soon as I get outside the door, off comes the mask. In the car I go and home, and I do not wear the mask when I'm in home or out in the front yard or anywhere except when I go to a place that requires it.
A week ago Saturday, I ended up being my Walmart, Tractor Supply, and Lowe's. Okay. After I think when Tractor Supply, Lowe's, and Walmart, I'd order. I did not wear a mask in any one of the stores. I just walked right in. The mask was in my pocket. I just walked in, got what I needed, went to the counter, bought the stuff, and left. Nobody said we're one in any 3 locations. If they had, I would say, look, I have a sinus problem. I have this way of breathing. Whatever case it is, I don't have to wear one. I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't have to.
Okay, I don't know if you found what I was looking for or not.
Oh.
So I'll write it down for you. And you better get ready for if the things continue to go through and Biden gets sworn in, day one he's going to put in the mask requirement and he's going to make everybody have a test done. Well, I'm not having anybody stick no damn stick up my friggin' nose. I don't give 2 shits and I'll holler. I had a nose ulcer one time and I had some stick stuck up my nose to cauterize it. Didn't work, but still, I know damn well how it feels. So you ain't sticking nothing up my nose. I know
we're not going to wear a mask inside the house nor outside doing any kind of work. Maybe splitting wood, stacking wood, firewood is, working with taking care of the animals or whatever. I ain't wearing a mask outside. Why?
And the U.S. is not the only ones being stupid about the mask.
Oh, I know.
The United Kingdom, England, is thinking about requiring people to wear the mask
indoors.
At the dinner table, at dinner.
Like California. I covered California on that.
Yeah. What a bunch of
Governor Newsom, he wants you to wear a mask and you're physically not actually chewing your food. Plus another bunch of stupid things.
Barring any sort of some kind of legal upset of this election, we now have the Trojan horse in, and I want to be the first one to welcome you all to the Socialist Democratic Republic of the United States. Now you be good little red men and put your red suits on so everybody knows who you are.
The red stars.
So,
you heard about the Order of Lenin, the Soviet Union. Here we have the Order of Biden.
Put a red band on your arm. That's all we want. That's all we need is just a red band on your arm, so we know who we are. Because we wouldn't want to address you with anything other than comrade. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not Mr. and Mrs. Comrade.
And if you're really good and jump on the bandwagon real quick, you might be able to become Block Commissar. Okay, which then they'll give you a little communist emblem to put on the brim of your hat so everybody knows that you are the snitch.
Let's see. Look at where I'm on my block. There are 4 houses.
4 houses on your block? Which one's going to be the commissar?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think it's going to be me. And I got the largest tract of land right there. Well, that's actually it's probably, but it's the largest tract of land. That's where the road system is. Next guy down is a gun owner. I don't think. Now, the next people down, I haven't dealt with them in years. The people at the far end are the oldest. I don't think they're going to, anyway. So, you want to toss it between four families. I'm sure it's not going to be mine or me.
And don't forget, folks, look for 6 to 8 months into the Biden presidency for the Democratic Party to pull a coup and oust him on the 24th Amendment diminished capacity clause. Okay, because I believe that the reason Harris pulled out back when they were doing the debate was they made a deal with her. Way back then.
25th.
And
25th Amendment.
You drop out because they didn't like each other. Biden didn't like her and she didn't like him. And so you drop out. And if I get the nomination, I'll nominate you as my vice presidential candidate. And we'll get the first woman in the White House and be the first, whatever you want to call her, in the White House. And
everybody keeps calling her black. She's not even black. She's Indian.
She's brown, Hindu.
Or Asian, whatever. Right?
Yeah. Anyway.
Not even black.
The fix is in. Biden knows it. And he's part of it. The main thing was to get communism established in this country. And they're pretty well on the way. They have the Speaker of the House, who, by the way, is running for re-election as the Speaker of the House. I hope they do not elect that bitch again. Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. Yeah.
Well, there are spirits and Democrats who are upset that they lost seats in the House because of her and their far left agenda. So, we shall see.
So, well, we'll see what's going to happen. In the meantime, ammo and food. Don't forget, you're going to have to put some food away. I don't know how you're going to do it. I would say it might be just a little bit late to try and get some of these dried foods that'll last for 25 years. Might still be there. I don't know how pricey it's got. But I just went down yesterday and bought a flat of 24 tomato soup cans and a flat of 24 chicken noodle soups. And
those will keep forever. Those will never go bad.
Yeah, as long as they don't get punctured or rushed through.
Never.
Some
of that crap.
And
I remember when I was in RTC in the 70s, we were eating sea ration from WW2.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
When I was in the Navy, we had sea rats from World War II. Made 1943, I think, was the date of the box.
I know that the 40s and saying, okay, this is 1974 to 78. And they were going out food exercises and sea rats from WW2. Might have a few from Korea. And it tastes fine.
The biscuit in my box happened to be so hard, I soaked it for 3 days in coffee, and I still couldn't bite it. So we put it in the...
Wasn't hardtack, was it?
No. Might have been.
After a couple years in a can.
I've had
I have a horse stuff on it.
I've had hardtack. And it takes a sharp object to break it in pieces. A good strike. Hit it on a hard surface.
This is your hammer. It's used for nails and hardtack.
Yeah. We're not talking the hammer of your gun either. No. Oh, shit. We're getting stupid here now. But we're in a real serious bind, folks. And it's going to only get worse. And just how bad? Just put it to you on the diamond. You better be prepared to shed blood. That's all I can say. You better be prepared to shed blood in order to save yourself and your family. Okay?
Been saying it for years. I always said over and over again, this is it. This is really it. This is going to happen.
Everything has led us.
This really could be it.
Everything has led us to this step. Okay, we now have the communists, supposedly the communists in power, or will have the communists in power in January, to push the agenda through. Fortunately, we do have a better control of the House of Representatives.
Well, they have more people in it.
Senate.
The House is still under Democratic control.
Okay.
But there's less Democrats.
Any funding comes out of the
Senate.
House.
The Senate is still there.
Remember that the spending bills all start in the House. And even if somebody in the Senate wanted to introduce one, they couldn't do it until after it's been introduced and House and voted upon, and then brought over. So anyway, that's if they play by the rules. But now that we have the commies in there, I don't think we're going to have to worry about playing by the rules because they'll make the rules as we go along. And
I don't like that rule. Let's change it.
And watch for purges. Watch for purges. If they follow the trend of all socialist governments, they will come in and start purging people in certain positions. Teachers, yeah, you heard me, teachers, mayors, local representatives, town council, okay, constables, maybe even the county sheriff. If you're not on their side, they will purge you. It happened in Vietnam, it happened in China, it happened in Russia, it happened in Nazi Germany, it happened in Cambodia, and the list goes on. And when the North Koreans come down into South Korea and were there for a while, it was happening in Korea. So,
we're on the kind of dark side of things.
yeah, we are. I think we're going to lighten it up.
Worst case scenarios. If by chance the Democrats do win and they start doing purges, what will purge look like? Well, there's a movie that came out in 1992. It's a Russian film with English subtitles. The translation sometimes is not the best. But it's called A Chekist.
I got a copy of that.
Chekist. It's on YouTube. And it shows what happens to people who were considered non-desirables. They stripped you down. They shot you. They buried you. They took, they took your clothes, your watches, your glasses, whatever, every valuable thing, and you went somewhere.
And if you had gold teeth, they pulled them.
Another movie not quite so bad is called The Admiral. I forget what year it came out. It's again a Russian language film with English subtitles. And it shows the Russian admiral who's caught up in the revolution. What happens to him at the end? What happens to the officer corps in the Navy? The revolution. And then you've seen a Tom Cruise movie, Valkyrie, assassination plot against Adolf Hitler. You see what happens. They get rounded up. All those that were considered co-conspirators, even those. Actually, there are a lot of people that were not part of conspiracy,
but they just knew somebody that was.
But they did, yeah. They were guilty by association. Now, one was saying Erwin Rommel, Field Marshal Rommel. He knew about the plot, did not actually take part in the plot, but his sin was he knew about it and didn't say anything. The Gestapo found out about it. Now because he was an actual hero, still recovering from wounds suffered on the Western Front when his staff car was strafed by a British fighter plane. He was told, hey, if you commit suicide, your family, your wife and son will be spared any kind of problems. If you don't commit suicide, you'll be tried, you'll be executed.
So will your family.
Yeah, basically, okay. So he decided to commit suicide, and believe it or not, his wife and son survived the war. And his son later became mayor of one of the different towns we're in. It takes me right now what town he's mayor of. But the Nazis did not bother the wife or Ronald's only son, his only child. But
Yeah,
now in the movie Valkyrie, Tom Cruise's character, I don't know, he's a lieutenant colonel. I can't think of his name offhand. And, an officer stands in front of him, and he gets like 7 or 8 Mauser shots, 7.9 mm to the back. Not one bullet pierces the body into Cruise. A little fallacy there. Not quite how it works.
I mean, was saying, don't worry about the camps, worry about the graves. Well, technically, yeah, you are. The final spot will be a grave, but to keep the people from panicking for as long as they possibly can, there's a little psyops. You round them up and put them in camps. And then at the camps, you can start sorting them out and pick those that you can use for slave labor, like the Nazis did with the Jews, and the other ones you take out and shoot. Okay? If you start shooting everybody on the street where everybody can see it, you're going to cause a backlash. Well, if they're going to kill me, I might as well shoot back, right?
Right.
Take a few of those, call me pinko bastards with me. All right? So watch for rounding up of people disappearing. And
we already mentioned that Trump supporter, so that's a possibility. Anyway, one side I mentioned that up to maybe 21,000 Pennsylvanians who had died voted in this year's election. Okay, I checked my parents' grave. The style was not disturbed. So my parents who died as Republicans did not come back from the dead and vote Democrat.
they didn't.
They didn't. No, the style is fine.
That was unpatriotic of them. Yeah, speaking of that, I've heard through the internet, one of my sources, where a lawyer volunteered to be a poll watcher for the Republicans, pro bono, and he said he'd go anywhere in the country that they felt that they needed him. So they sent him up to Pittsburgh. And when he got there, he was contacted by 2 of the people that were there. The polls were not open yet at 7 o'clock, but the machines were being fed paper ballots prior to that, and they've been doing that since about 6 or 7 o'clock. So can you imagine how many paper ballots they could feed that?
The mail-in ballots by Pennsylvania law could not be open until Election Day.
Right.
Possibly that's what they were doing, but I wouldn't bet.
Well, they don't feed the paper ballots into the computer. They open them and then they stack them, Biden, Trump, then they count Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump.
Anyway.
And you can't put them in that computer because the computer, once you put it through, you're supposed to get a copy if you want it. Okay? But if you don't want it, they shred it. So
now they're supposed to
110,000 people voted in an hour, and the polls weren't even open.
The paper ballots would be kept stored for a while. They're not shredded.
You're supposed to get a copy of it.
But they can't shred them for months afterwards.
I know until the official count.
I mean, yeah, that's if they shred them, that's illegal. Voter fraud.
There's all kinds of things that are coming out there.
But the media says there's no evidence of voter fraud.
No evidence whatsoever. You guys are all crazy. Well, they're following a guideline out of the Nazi handbook, and some people said it wasn't said by Hitler, but one of the big shots in the Nazi movement made the statement: if you tell a lie
Goebbels
long enough and often enough, people will begin to perceive it as being the truth.
Goebbels did it.
Yeah.
He was the propaganda guy.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I shouldn't have drank that. That's hitting me hard. Just that little bit. Must be because I am not eating. I'm eating, but I'm not eating right. Okay? It's hard to fix a meal just for one person.
I weighed myself yesterday. I was down at 213.
You are, or were.
Well, yesterday. I didn't weigh myself today.
Oh. Well, I haven't weighed
In fact,
myself.
January, 2 Januaries ago, I was at 267.
Well, I haven't weighed myself because my scale is broken and I don't have the money to buy a new one. It goes to 100. Actually, I like it. It goes to 165 and sticks.
I'm good. Okay.
How about that? Look at that, 165. I've been maintaining that way for the last 21 years.
I told them at work they need to recalibrate their shipping scale because I occasionally get on that and weigh myself. I went from 150 to 161 in just under a week. So I'm not sure where all that went, but 10 pounds a week.
Did you take a deep breath before you got on there? Got
No.
10 pounds of air in your lungs? So, anyhow, I am thoroughly discombobulated. Like I say, the wife's been in the hospital starting on her 4th week. And I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep her there. I'm going to make some phone calls about insurance tomorrow. They're advertising if you're on Medicare, there's a bunch of new benefits for you. So I'm going to call and see. One of them is, depending on your zip code, you might be able to qualify for getting your Medicare premiums back, which means like Medicaid, which I'm going to call and find out because I could use $250 a month. And but I put in for LIHEAP, and I just got a thing from REA, that's where I get my electricity, and they have the breakdown of the income levels that you have to have in order to get LIHEAP. And I looked for 2, it's $28,000 to get assistance from LIHEAP. Well, my wife's and I's combined income is just a little over 25,000. It's like 25,300. Now, if that would just carry over on all the programs, not that hey, I paid for them all these years. All these other people out there, a lot of these other people are out there collecting, didn't pay a damn red cent, white cent, copper, nickel, penny, whatever. Didn't pay a damn dime, and they're collecting the stuff free, and then the communists want to give it to the illegals too.
Oh, 11 million.
So 11 million that they're talking?
At least. Yeah.
But since I've been on, Mike and I have been on the air, we're doing this show, the account of illegals in this country has maintained a level of 11 million. We've been on the air for 25 years. Meaning the population of illegals hasn't increased. What are they doing? They dying off and sending them back? Yeah. What? Where are they disappearing to? Oh, they're going on to Canada. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. They're just passing through, like a turd.
Yeah.
And just passing through.
No.
This too shall pass.
I won.
Torpedo Morse.
Fish in the water.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, nobody missing from most of the news is the COVID-19 pandemic, to some degree. As you know, probably last week, there have been, I know, Pennsylvania and Ohio, other places, a sharp rise in COVID-19 cases. But nothing has really happened, okay, to stop such a rise. Now that the voting is over.
Pretty smooth, isn't it?
Yeah, wow.
Here's the title of the article. Democrat lockdown governors fully prepared to put people in jail. Democratic governors by nature of big government take control, tell the populace how to act politicians. And Rush Limbaugh warning residents in these states to beware amid reports of rise in COVID-19 cases. This comment has come out through listeners suggested it's time to get rid of the stupid mask mandates and go back to hugging each other and shaking hands. Let's go back to church. Let's just take our community back. Limbaugh goes on, or says something. I feel duty bound to warn you that some Democratic governors are fully prepared to put people in jail if they violate these edicts. We know Governor Newsom, California is one, and Governor Whitmore of Michigan is probably another one. Our tyrant Wolf has not stated anything like that yet.
If New York does, he'll follow it.
Well, yeah.
That's all he does. He waits to see New Jersey.
Yeah, now, Limbaugh stated some California. Limbaugh cited some of California government rules, and this is concerning things that we already covered, about certain people, number of people wearing masks all the time when you're actually eating. Only have so many people over, so on and so forth. And he feels Christmas is going to be the same way in California. And he goes on here and said that don't be surprised if the Democratic governors decide to do the lockdowns or stay-at-home orders again now that the election process is over. Now he cites Governor Gretchen Whitmore of Michigan and for some of the things that she's really almost as bad as I think Governor Newsom of California. But they're contemplating shutdowns, extended shutdowns, lockdowns, social restrictions, more so than what we have today. Some places where you can get to church, that may be canceled again. No more church. So don't be surprised, not to this in future, that your Democratic governor in particular, Ohio is a Republican, but he's a rhino, may initiate stay-at-home or lockdown orders to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the interest of public safety.
I got two things I want to cover. One is Uncle Bob. I love the look on Daryl's face. Did he really say that? Yes, he did. What was it that I said? Okay. So if you're hearing me, you can type it in. I'd like to know what it was I said. And, but yeah,
I said so much. What did I say?
Because if it's really good, I'll say it again next week. I might even say it again tonight. But the other thing is, shit, I lost it. God damn, somebody give me some toilet paper.
No, I don't have any.
Oh, well, I can't think of what I was going to say. Costco.
I'm going to run, guys.
You're going to run, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you just walk?
Hey, don't trip over the leaves out there.
But
next time you pull in the turnaround so I can back out without have to go.
Yeah, I forgot you were leaving.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after you left that I thought, oh, geez, I sure hope we got around my car all right.
Anyway, I thought this was funny, so I pulled it up because we need a laugh. Costco pulling products allegedly made with forced monkey labor. So quit monkeying around or they're going to force you to labor. The alleged use of forced monkey labor has led Costco to stop selling Thai-made coconut products. Well, hell, they're the only ones that climb the trees efficiently and get the coconuts for them. What the hell's the matter with you people? People for the ethical treatment of animals. PETA, by the way.
People eating tasty animals. Hey!
God would not have made the animals tasty if they were not here to be eaten. Has been tracking such animal abuse since 2019 while urging retailers to pull merchandise made from the bad actors to destroy the practice. It was out of USA Today. That's enough of that. So don't you go buying anything made by forced monkey labor.
I'm going to add a little humor. Remember I talked about Governor Newsom's Thanksgiving restrictions? Well, World Daily put out an article. Celebrities mock Thanksgiving rules of California's emperor. Da, da, da. Hollywood celebrities, believe it or not, celebrities in Hollywood among the critics of the new coronavirus orders by Governor Gavin Newsom and the state's Department of Health banning indoor gatherings ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Actor Rob Schneider tweeted, "Dear Emperor at Gavin Newsom, during our allotted 3-family limit on this Thanksgiving, if my aunt comes over, can I throw her a slice of turkey from the window? We promise not to sing. We just all whisper. Please recall dips. Gavin Newsom." I know that's Democrats in place or there's dipshits in place. Anyway, the rules govern social situations that bring together people are from different households of the same, whether a single space or any place. Fox News for it. Like I said, the host of any private gathering must limit attendance to no more than 3 households, no more than 2 hours long. Guests must remain outdoors. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, sanitize, ensure your face or mask coverings are worn at all times, except when you're eating. And of course, earlier this month, last month, Governor Newsom talked about you're in a restaurant, take a bite, put your mask back on when you're chewing. Anyway. And of course, during Thanksgiving, discourage singing, chanting, and shouting. Now, actor Adam Baldwin, they call the rules ridiculously unenforceable, and actor Nick Searcy was among many who said that they would ignore them. Hey, Californians, just ignore Newsom. Twitter site can kiss my ass and bark at the hole, Searcy tweeted.
Rectal space. That sounds better.
Actress Justin Bateman said, Governor Newsom, okay, no one is listening to you anymore. You have lost your mind. Actor James Wood suggested a way to avoid a hassle from authorities. Just make a few signs protesting Trump, Wood said. Then invite as many people as you want and you'll have no problem. DailyMail.com reported Rep. Devin Nunes, our Republican of California, tweeted, the rules offer Californians little to give thanks for, that's for sure. GOP spokesman Elizabeth Harrington called California a natty state. Governor Newsom, let us be people, adults, and do what we want to do, and we'll take the consequences accordingly. Lord Newsom made nanny state lockdown will allow you to have Thanksgiving, but you better write down the names and numbers of the family there to track them down, she tweeted. You better keep the mask on in between bites. You better not sing, and absolutely no wind instruments. Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Gary B. Lyle Griffin actually came to Newsom's defense, mocking the outrage. California Democrats are mad at Newsom won't let them infect during on Thanksgiving. They will die in a state and then that won't let them vote, she wrote. And then, of course, it goes into the same things I said about earlier about Governor Newsom's official guidelines about not singing and social distancing and all that stuff. And then you'll want to repeat Newsom's policy about going out to eat, keeping mask on between bites. Anyway, it just Californians, you used to be a red state. You went communist, basically.
It's still red.
Anyway. You got what you voted for, okay? Just like we in Pennsylvania, well, many people saying we're stupid enough to vote for a Democratic governor who has ruined our state's economy with his stupidity, along with his health secretary, who can't figure out if he's a man or a woman. I didn't vote for either one of them.
I had a thought and it's gone. God, I'm having a bad time tonight. Too much on my mind.
You gotta stay away from this stuff.
Emmy to Jack. That sounds like a good idea, Jack. Start getting yourself a little printing press so that you can print up ID cards for vaccine inoculation and COVID exempt or whatever it is, and put me down for a couple dozen.
Hey, Jack, let me know when you get them printed off. I'll give you my mailing address, and you can mail out a goodly number. I'll let you know.
Yeah. So,
make it really official. We can print the names.
The two of us will be your test run. That way, if it passes muster, then you can start charging $100 a piece for them. But then we get 10% of the take.
I think money's.
Well, we can't push them for him if we don't get paid. No. We gotta have our cut too. Oh, and Emmy gets 10% because she come up with the idea. So
we'll let our friends know, and we'll just we'll just tell them where to get them.
You gotta have a reference.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give him a reference number, and then he has to check that. And if the reference number fits, then he can sell it to him. If not, then don't sell it to him.
Your code is this number.
Yeah. Have your individual code.
And your family's
so
code.
So nobody else can copy.
Your family code numbers are.
Yeah. So
I guess I got a little fun with this situation.
Well, you have to laugh, because if you don't, you're going to go crazy. That's probably why I have not gone crazy over the years, because I have laughed at so much of the stupidity out there that these assholes are pulling. But it's getting real. It's getting damn real. And I'm not talking about the fishing reel either, or the reel on your movie camera or movie projector. I'm talking damn real in the line of. So all I can say is you better get it between now and December, because after December,
the rush will be on.
The rush will be on even worse than it is now. And so anyhow, be that as it may, well, that brings us to 2 minutes to the hour. Do you have any final suggestions?
There was a posting on Facebook that somebody in one of the sites I'm on mentioned how hard it is to find things like ammunition. Locate the stores in your area, your gun stores, and keep checking. Okay, they have a Facebook page. Get on the Facebook page and check that way too, and see what's in stock. Okay, there are online places too that you can still buy ammunition at different times. But if you see, if you check, let's say Sportsman Guide, or
they're out of everything.
I know, AIM Surplus.
Most every place I've checked.
Ammoman.com. Okay, if you happen to get on a site and they just got something in, order it then. Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't order when you see it, it ain't going to be there next week.
I'll flat out tell you that I've read, I saw this. I'll order this tomorrow. And tomorrow came and it was gone. And odds are you're not going to find anything at the prices you're used to buying at.
That's right.
A lot of ammunition now is going to be
double to triple.
80 cents to over $1 per round, depending on what you buy, and even higher. So, And odds are, again, if December 8th comes around and Biden is actually the electee, then who knows what's going to happen is the mad rush will probably be on. Now, of course, there's always hope, always prayer that a miracle will occur. But I just, order what you can, when you can, okay? And I wouldn't advise going into a hole because, you might need those finances for something else. But at least try to get what you can afford to get now or as soon as you see it.
That and foodstuffs.
That and food stuff. Whatever you got will come in handy. There was a list of, I came across it today. I forgot to copy it. Recommendations of how much ammunition I have. Hopefully, I'll remember to copy that, or I can find it when I get home.
Well, rule of thumb from Mark Cornkey is 10,000 rounds per gun per caliber.
Well, I'm not going to be able to get that.
Okay.
No.
Well, you're not going to get it now. If you haven't been building it up over the years, you aren't going to get it now.
But this was basically a minimum requirement this guy came up with, and I'm, if I can find that, and
well, at that point, we are done. We are at the end of the stream. So, kiddies, we will see you next week. I don't know if Mother will be.
Flashlight.
What was that? The hand grenade?
Yeah, my flashlight fell in my pocket.
I don't know if Mother will be home. She has not been able to put more than just one day of lucency together. She's lucid today, but tomorrow she might be zombified. I don't know. So,
zombified.
Yeah. So anyway, at this point, kids, stay frosty. See you next week. Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.